owner of Fuzz Imp Effects, and we're going to be working on. You never see this view from behind where it doesn't look that great. I got a new SG Epiphone SG 61 with the Maestro recently. I'm gonna go grab it. But basically, what we're going to be doing today is working on putting on some new hardware. So we have um, two things here, and it'll be fun to figure it out on live on stream. So what they have is one of these Tune-o-matic roller bridges, because my Maestro basically works kind of like a Bixby. So we'll be working with that. And then I'll also have some new tuners for it that I'm really curious to try. I've had other Music Lily products in the past, but I haven't tried their tuners. My guess is the packaging is going to be pretty bare bones. Yeah, like you can see, it looks pretty rowdy. It's just kind of like plastic wrap. But basically, I'm hoping because of what these are, they will drop straight into the all the posts that are there. So we'll find out together if that's the case or not. These could be really interesting. Looks like they are the same style as like a Gibson style tuner. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, so if you haven't been keeping up with the company too much, I haven't been doing as many videos in a while. Basically, YouTube has just been a repository for all the embedded videos on the website. If you haven't seen some of the newer offerings, we have the Sender V3, which is a compact pedal that has 3 modes for the distortion slash fuzz, and it's really super cool. It's been getting a lot of traction, and it's a pretty original design. The original Sender was kind of loosely based off of a muff board with a bunch of mods, so this is very different than that. It's kind of all new. We got our root beer here. So what we're going to start with pretty quick here, I'll also be polishing the fretboards. I've done a little bit of work to my SG since I got it, just in that I did a little bit of a setup and put new strings on it. And I have a set, NYXL 56 to 11, that I think we're going to end up putting in some kind of C tuning on this. I have the Ernie Ball 54 to 11 with a plain 22, if I want to go that route. Oh, I think what's on there is the 52 through 11 set, so like the Burley Slinky, which I actually really like. So this is like a Burley Slinky set, but the G string is a little bit thicker, which I don't usually like, and the low string is just slightly thicker. So we'll see what we think. I'm thinking, I know that NYXL 11 to 56 for drop C on a Gibson scale sounds great. Probably could get away with C sharp standard or C standard. It's going to be a little light on the plain strings, but we'll see where we land with that. And so let's grab it and kind of dig in. The turnarounds on Fuzz Amp have been improving. There's a few products that we are waiting on the boards for the Shroot 2s. The Shroot 2 is like the most popular pedal that we've ever done. It's like a high-powered overdrive slash distortion, depending on how you dial it in. It's kind of amp in the box. But this is my SG, which I really, really like. It's got the Maestro tailpiece, which really balances the weight. I don't have to swap the Tune-o-matic. It just was, while I was in there, I was thinking about it, because I do actually like these roller bridges, and I was wondering if I swap for the locking tuners, because those are locking tuners, and this roller bridge, if I'll end up liking the performance better. So we'll just have to see what we think there. Actually, I am gonna take the packaging and adjust it. I may throw tunes on at some point if I start getting a little bored. I might rock out, but I think I am gonna share this video to some groups. We're gonna share it to Facebook, and we're gonna share it to, whoa, we got some extra. Okay, we got some messages. How's it going? Oh wow, we got three viewers all of a sudden. Awesome. Hey everybody. We're working on my SG. I just was going to share this video to a couple groups real quick and see what people might think. Um, so yeah, SG, roller bridge. We're gonna find out if all this hardware is compatible. I really want to get into the tuners probably first and kind of see what's going on there. We'll have to check it out. I have a feeling I might figure out, I might take this packaging apart a little bit. I don't think I have my cardboard cut in here, but I have some pliers and some other tools. This packaging is kind of weird. It's like all shrink wrapped. So we'll see how this goes. But hopefully in, less than an hour-ish or so, we can be back to rocking again. The performance of the stock hardware is perfectly fine. I just was gonna see what would happen. I really was curious to test these tuners to see if I can recommend them, because I've been liking all my other musical hardware. I'm not sponsored by any of them or anything. I like their pickup that I've had, and I think some other like random accessories. So the feel on these, oh yeah, like these feel fine. There's no like grittiness to the tuner or anything. So you can see they're a Gibson style tuner, but they're locking. They have a locking mechanism. So they have the post through the middle. So we'll just take this all out carefully. I'm hoping that it's like pretty much a seamless drop-in. If I have to slightly ream, I'm not opposed to that. We're just gonna take a look and kind of see what's happening. I have a Epiphone. I'll show it again in a second. It's it's one of those olive drab 61 reissues with a Maestro. I got it. I don't think it's in too many of my demos. I think it may be in the most recent one. I was using it quite a bit. And then I'm unboxing these locking tuners. The packaging is kind of weird on these, so I'm kind of struggling, but you can see they're a locking tuner that should play the best song in the world, or I'll eat your soul. It's a Tenacious D reference for the uncultured. But yeah, so we've got all the hardware. I really want to know if these are going to work or not. And they have a ferrule that I'm curious to see if it drops in. I can't tell just by looking at it or not. So we will all be on this adventure together. I might actually adjust this slightly. There we go. Something like that. So I'll show the SG again in a minute. I was gonna unbox this thing, kind of get it to where I can get to my stuff. But anyway, so yeah, I was working on senders today. Here's the guitar I was talking about. So you can see it's got the Maestro trim system. My thought is, because I also have a roller bridge, my thought is with the roller bridge and the locking tuners, I might have more use of the Maestro system and it might stay a little more stable. It's about like a Bigsby in that you can do some subtle stuff a few times and then you're probably gonna want to retune. There's a little bit of, the strings slip on the stock Tune-O-Matic. They might be binding very slightly in the nut. It's really hard to tell like what exactly is going to be going on with one of these. It's not it's a cool, the reason I like it is because it weighs down the body and it makes it so this guitar is really balanced standing up. I like the system. Like that was the reason for me buying it. And these are really nice, the fit and finish. And if you haven't seen, they totally changed the headstock on these on the newer ones. So they're more of like a Gibson style headstock. They don't have the 3 humps. They look a lot classier and they feel good. Like the fret edges and the fret work is pretty good. It plays like it's a $5.99 new guitar, so it plays like that, maybe slightly better. I mean, it's not a custom shop Gibson, which is a totally different kind of instrument, but it's good. Like it's actually, I think it's great. I really took to playing it right away. But I'm curious to see if I can do these upgrades or if I'm going to run into a bunch of issues. So we get to see it all as it happens in real time, which is very exciting because watching people fail on the internet is one of the hallmarks of American culture. So we're going to slack all the strings and take them off. Oh, one thing I do like, if you haven't seen a Maestro up close, I'll show this on camera. How it holds the string is basically just a slot, and there's this curved bar kind of situation. It's going to be a little hard to get it on camera. Basically, the string ball ends just catch on this claw, and it actually is a pretty good design that way. But it definitely enhances sustain, and I really like that it fixes the neck heaviness of these. Because if you look, when I wear it, it just holds at that position. Like it holds at like a natural playing, it holds at a natural playing position, which is why I like it so much. And in fact, I'm kind of chasing other SGs with Maestros down, and considering like, because so from what I understand, because I'm not an expert Gibson historian, is that pre 2006, like 1990 to 2006, are the better Gibson modern era guitars. And there's a lot of those SGs popping up on local marketplace on Facebook and stuff. And so I'm really curious to see what those wait out like. I haven't had. I think I've had like an early 2000s SG Standard, and a faded, and I've had a Gibson Explorer from like the early 2000s. I've had a Les Paul Studio from the early 2000s, but all the other ones I had were more modern than that. So apparently the older ones are really good. So, you know, I never had a Gibson that was atrocious. I had a few total Gibsons, other than my 2015. That was a little bit. My 2015 needed some work to make it look good. So anyway, we stuff is going good with the company. If you didn't realize for some reason, I build pedals full time. Fuzz Effects. I mean, for the last year, all I've been posting is the demos that are posted here, right? But I haven't been as interactive on YouTube because, like I mentioned really early in the stream, all I really use YouTube for now is to host the videos for my website, which is fuzzimp.com, fuzzimp.com, which is where you can buy my stuff and check it out. If anybody is interested, I can give out a discount code or something. I have a couple different ones depending on, if you want to buy one pedal, I have a code that's like a pretty good deal for one pedal. But if you want to buy two pedals, I'll just give you like a % off one. So it really just depends on kind of what you're after. But I do a lot of streaming. I stream almost every day on Instagram for about an hour. Half hour to an hour. It really depends on what I'm doing that day and kind of what I'm feeling. But pretty consistently on the Fuzzimp Instagram page, I will go live sometime either in the morning or early afternoon while I build, you know, a handful of something like a Sender or something. So I don't have to think about it super hard. And I can just kind of hang out and have fun. Oh, you know what I just realized? I'm going to have to go get... Oh, no, these are different. Okay, never mind. Oh, so I was looking at the... What do they call it? Like the ferrules for these tuners that are on here currently. I'll probably just start with one and see how much work this is going to be. Might have to go get other tools that I don't have with me in this room. I have a few tools, but I don't have everything in here. Because this is where I shoot the videos. And I don't like working on my guitars and where I build the pedals because kind of set up. So strings are off. You didn't know what we were talking about, just jumping in. SG 61. I never can get their names right. I think it's a 61 standard. Epiphone 61 standard with the Maestro in olive drab, which is Zounds is the only retailer doing this color of them. Of I think all the major Epiphone body styles. I really like it. Okay, so we're gonna put the arm out of the way. We're gonna take off. Let's start with the low E tuner. I should have my jeweler screwdrivers here. I may have to go get a more aggressive screwdriver, but these should work perfectly. Yep, they do. And we'll get a little. Use this little tray to hold any screws in case we need to backtrack. Stock pickups, yeah, I thought about swapping them, but honestly, I kind of like them for my demos. Yeah, no, it's a really nice looking SG. It plays really well. Like it you know, I wouldn't say it's like as good as a Gibson Standard because I don't have a Gibson Standard SG with the Maestro, so I couldn't tell you one way or the other, but it feels good to me. I mean, it definitely feels good for a $600 new guitar, especially. And if anybody has been like a little bit tuned out on what new stuff has gone for since the beginning of this year, pretty much every single piece of equipment that's out there went up like significantly. A micrometer and know if they'll fit. Oh, I could. I didn't know. Here, let's see. I think this is the orientation. Let's see. Yes. This is the orientation. The moment of truth. These are a direct drop-in, so I won't have to modify anything or change the ferrules. So these are a direct drop-in for this style tuner. And I'll probably end up dropping a link to what these are. The holes all line up, and we are good to go. I might even reuse the stock screws here. Just save all the stuff in the bag. So these are really cool. It's like 23 bucks for this set of locking tuners that just drops in direct, and I don't have to modify anything, which is nice. It's nice to not make extra work for yourself. So I'm gonna put the first screw kind of finger tight in, and you don't want to tighten it too much in the wrong direction. But yeah, these drop straight in. I'll show you guys in a second. They cover up the existing hole. There is a slight like ugly gap. Yeah, so they're like a few millimeter. Here, let me show you side by side what I'm talking about. So the only thing that's kind of a bummer, like they drop straight into the hole, but the nubs on the Epiphone tuner are just like 2 millimeters taller. So there's this, it's gonna be pretty hard to see. So you can see side by side, it's like maybe 1 millimeter shorter. But what happens is when they put these tuners on, there's a little bit of like schmutz slash like paint damage from when they put the tuners on. So there's like just some really minor stuff that you can't really see unless you're really close to it. Like if you're looking really close, you can see that there's like a little bit of a difference. But the fact that the stock string, the string ferrule goes in, and it's now a locking tuner that is basically the identical kind of look, and it drops straight in without any modifications. It's pretty nice. So I'll see what I can do on this next one. I might, as I take it off, clean up that area a little bit. I wonder if a little bit of debris, it's kind of hard to see. I'll show you how ugly it's Gibson stuff would be in a similar ballpark depending on when they install tuners, if the finish is still slightly soft. Because I believe that's what's causing the slight issue there. But they look pretty much identical from the back, other than like the little wings on the outside edges of the tuner are about 1 millimeter shorter each way. So you do see that slight imperfections that the original tuner caused. My guess is that both of these are modeled on Gibson tuners, but they're just slightly off. Yeah, because what you see here, I'll clean it up just a little bit, is there's slight indentations and like little pieces of wood debris. When you take the tuner off, it's gonna be, I cleaned it up a little bit, so it's not gonna be as bad, but basically there's like an outline from where the original tuner was. But it's very, like, it's not super gross or anything. So I'm gonna put the whole set on, and I'll take some close-up pictures, and we'll kind of see where we land there. I just want to make sure I get the right tuner. Yeah, so it'll be this one. Cool. Just making sure I get the orientation right. But yeah, the stock. Okay, so this one is a little bit better. It looks like. Yeah, I mean, you just have to be really careful as you're installing them to completely cover up the existing hole, because it needs to slightly push to one side as you're putting it in to make sure that like the orientation is exactly right. So yeah, not bad. Obviously I won't really be like, these stock tuners on these Epiphones are perfectly fine. Like if I wasn't just doing it for the sake of, because I was curious and I was going to be taking stuff apart that's a little bit involved anyway. Um, I probably wouldn't have changed them. I don't necessarily need locking tuners on this guitar, but I just, because I could, I did, kind of a thing. And it's 24 shipped for the set of locking tuners that drop straight in. I mean, you're talking like very little investment for the benefit of locking tuners on a guitar. So Music Lily is kind of an interesting brand, and they sell on Amazon. Right. I think that's what I'm seeing right now. Monster Audio is that very slightly off hole. But to be honest, because I didn't even change the ferrules out, like, I think we're gonna be fine. Like, it looks correct. Like, they look almost identical. Like, looking side by side at kind of how they sit in the ferrule, I think we're good. But as you can see there, so anyway, to finish this, what Music Lily is. So Music Lily is a manufacturer of like hardware. It's like an OEM provider for hardware for guitar brands. So they do the Wilkinson branded hardware and a bunch of other brands. Oh, hey. Yeah, thanks for tuning in. But yeah, they look nice. They feel fine. Like, it's hard to tell till they have string tension on them what they're really going to perform like. I just like that I had the stock. I kept the stock look and didn't have to ream, because they sell so many different locking tuners. I think they make them for pretty much every guitar. Like, they have some that'll drop straight into USA Fenders and Mexican Fenders, and they have some that'll drop straight into like Squire type. But I do believe they are the. Oh yeah, I'm seeing it now. They are very close to the right side. I've had to rework stuff way harder that was way higher end tuners, to be honest. So anyway, they're an OEM provider for import guitars. They're not just a cheap Amazon brand. Like, you're basically buying, instead of buying rebranded from X company, like that same company is selling to a lot of the import brands that are, you know, it's the same hardware you're basically seeing on much more expensive guitars, is what I was getting at. Like the rebranded, like the Schecter locking tuners and the ESP locking tuners, a lot of those are made by them. Yeah, I'm doing 56 to 11 in case I don't think anybody caught it. I was talking to myself for the first 5 minutes, but 11 to 56, we're gonna go for, I think, drop C, maybe C sharp standard. I haven't really committed yet. I had 52 to 11 on this in drop C sharp, and it felt perfect. Stock pickups, I really thought about swapping the bridge for a ceramic when I first plugged it in, but then I gave it some time and played it with some pedals, and I actually really like how these pickups perform. They're slightly warmer and slightly lower output than anything else I have in my collection right now, even my Hot Rails and my P90s. So I really kind of like where they sit for a demo guitar, for showing people what my stuff sounds like, and they sounded phenomenal with the Shrew. So yeah, I think I just would. You just want to be careful as you're doing this to clean out the little bit of debris. I keep mixing them up. I had the non-locking tuner by the locking tuner. Yeah, we're on the third one. These will go pretty quick. I just was talking about it a bunch. I don't want to take all night just on this one task. But we're gonna do tuners and my new roller bridge. It's not from Music Lily. It's from one of the other import hardware brands. Like I said, a lot of that stuff is the OEM stuff that the bigger name import guitar brands are using. So it's usually pretty good stuff, especially like back in the day. So I used to work at a guitar shop. Back in the day, the really cheap eBay hardware, which is essentially we're buying the modern version of that, was just terrible. Like, it was just not good. No, I didn't have to change anything. I bought this style. If you buy these style, they drop straight in, at least for this ream on this guitar. So I kind of looked, originally I was going to buy a different style, but then I kept scrolling around and I realized, I was like, you know what? I bet they make ones that'll drop straight in. And I'm not even using, as you can see, I haven't even opened up the hardware bag for the music glue stuff because I haven't needed to. I'm reusing the screws that came with it, so I can keep all this stuff nice in a bag and sell a set of Epiphone standard tuners if somebody needed one for some reason. I guess it's maybe if somebody had like a project guitar or a tuner broke or something, I could send them that set, I guess. But the stock tuners felt great. I didn't have an issue with that. I was just curious if these tuners were any good, and I figured because I like having little projects that are relatively inexpensive to do. So like I did, yeah, because I ran into that. I went. This is what taught me lessons about tuners. Is so I had my Squier Paranormal Cyclone, and I bought a set of the Fender branded locking tuners. Well, the Fender branded locking tuners have the two nubs. So it has the post, and then it has these two nubs that kind of center it in place. It's what's on the USA's and Mexican ones. But the Squier was set up for vintage tuners. So it has vintage tuner ream, and it has yeah. So it's like vintage tuner ream, and the whole pattern's totally different because it's like Cluzon style. And so I had to do so much work to ream those out properly because I didn't have the right size bit. I don't think I had a 3/8, or yeah, I needed a 3/8 and I didn't have a 3/8. So I think what I ended up doing was I did it really janky. I think I did my step bit from both sides, and then I took a different drill bit that I had and like spun it around in circles like this in the hole. It's like basically the worst possible way to do it. What I should have done at the time was just waited till I could get the right drill bit and then do it then. I was concerned that maybe these would end up needing the correct tools, but from what I can tell, they just drop straight in. So the more you know. I didn't even realize they made that many different products, and I wasn't originally going to get the. I originally wasn't going to get Music Lily brand. I was going to get a different brand that they look a little more upscale. But then when I saw that these were like $5 cheaper and they were the same basic thing, because sometimes they are like it's one factory that makes a lot of this stuff, and then they rebrand it 20 different ways. Anyway, poked around a little more, and there you go. If I get a couple sales, I'm going to pick up locally. The guy is kind of holding it for me. I'm waiting to sell a pedal or two on my own. I have a Boss Metal Core I'm trying to unload that I got recently. It's not a bad pedal. I just was like, this guitar came up, and it's kind of exactly what I want. It's an older Squier 20th anniversary. I think it's basically like an Affinity Strat, but it's a black body with a black pickguard, white pickups, white plastics, rosewood fretboard. So it basically looks like a David Gilmour guitar, but it's really cheap. And then I'm going to do that as a mod project for another demo guitar. It's such a good deal. Like it's so little amount of money. It's such a little amount of money that I would be remiss to miss out on that deal. So, you know what? I'm just gonna take all three sides of this off. The only other thing we're doing before we restring, so this is like the time-consuming part that I'm being pretty meticulous about, because I want it to all line up as good as it can and not make a mess. After this, we're gonna do. I got the Tune-O-Matic roller bridge. It's still in the plastic, so it's kind of hard to see, but it's got brass rollers. It has a lot of extra adjustment. I've used these before on other guitars. They're a good bridge. I'll have to re-intonate, but that's fine because I'm thinking about going lower tuning to C anyway. So I think it'll be totally fine. setting this guitar up was super easy. All I did was barely adjust the bridge when I got it, and it was totally fine. But yeah, so what are you guys doing this afternoon slash evening? For me, it's 3:52. I just did my drop offs for the day, and then I wanted to get started on this. I was pretty excited about it, honestly. I was kind of looking forward to it all day. When I saw that it was going to be here pretty early, I was like, oh, this will be perfect. I have fun stuff to do tonight. So I haven't really been, I never was like a big mods guy, like really into modding guitars that much. But I'm kind of coming around on it. It's kind of fun, especially if it's relatively inexpensive. Like back in the day, for me to get, um, for me to do mods, it was expensive because I had to pay a luthier to do everything. And if I was doing upgrades, I would only buy the name brand stuff. I wouldn't, I didn't realize there was stuff like this out there. I think I was maybe aware of. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. You had told me about that. Uh, I think maybe I was aware of some stuff that was out there, but basically, the kinds of guitars I was having modified, it was pretty like not expensive guitars, but they were like nicer like mid-range guitar, probably about like what I'm doing now. Maybe throwing like a nicer set of tuners, because the old Epiphone standards weren't nearly as nice. Like I used to do Epiphone standard Les Pauls. I would buy those and put like a Duncan or whatever in it, and then maybe new tuners or a new bridge, like a Tone Pros bridge or all the name brand stuff that's kind of pricey. And I wasn't necessarily doing budget upgrades, but now you're able to do budget upgrades yourself, and I have a little more a little more skill. I could put in some pickups and wire up some extra switching if I wanted to. I thought about doing like a push pull coil tap series parallel kind of situation on this bad boy, but honestly, I like what it does with the pickups for what I do. It sounds fine. Like it actually, they do sound a little. They're not as spanky, like sparkly in the high end as the burst buckers or the 57s that I remember having in my Gibsons, which do sound really good. But they're not. But it's been long enough that I use mostly, like I have a guitar with EMGs there. I have a guitar with Fishmans. I have a Hot Rails in my Strat. So it's been a while since I've played a normal humbucker, honestly. So they could be totally fine, and I just don't know. So we're almost done installing the tuners. We're on the last two screws. I can tell the only downside to this tuner install that I can tell is that you just want to make sure you have the screw holes lined up just right, and you don't cinch one end down all the way, so it can kind of pull itself into position where it needs to be. And then I think we're all good to go. Yeah, that was the tuners. So really pretty painless there. It took me a half an hour to do it, but that's because I was talking the whole time. If I was just doing it, it wouldn't have taken me that long. And you can see, yeah, that all looks pretty good. Let's see from the side. There's one tuner I was like, I might shift that just slightly. But yeah, other than a couple little dimples, really painless install. I have some fretboard conditioner. Reminder what guitar we're talking about. Oh, is this Maglock? Or it's just on there firm? I think this is just on there firm. I don't think this is Maglock. Maybe it is. Let's see. No, it's just well installed, standard kind of ABR1, or maybe whatever it is, whatever the standard, tailpiece is. One thing I am gonna do is I do want to see. Usually these are super compatible, like they make them super adjustable so that you can use them on a variety of guitars. I am curious if it's going to work on this guitar. So I want to compare the size of the two bridges. If you can see here, So these are really cool. So they have brass rollers, and they have a lot wider range of adjustment than the standard like Tone Pro style bridges. The only thing I might do, and I'll have to pull the Allen keys out. I could go get my own set of Allen keys. The only thing I want to do is kind of, and I will have to swap the studs out because they're different. Maybe not the full-on studs, but I'll probably end up swapping out the post. I'm hoping the post just drops in. That's the only thing I'm not too sure on. I should have taken a little bit of pictures, but I am going to see if these will drop straight into the existing hole, which is my only concern right now. Because these look different. So I'm not sure if this is going to work. Yeah. I don't think that's going to work. Because these have a pretty big ream on them. And I don't believe I can modify these posts. So we're not going to end up doing the roller bridge upgrade on this guitar. I'll probably keep this around. I should have looked a little more closely at what the post setup was on these. But these have like a fat post. So if you see what I'm talking about. So this is like the entire assembly. This is the Gibson. Oh, I'm an idiot. Here, see that? So like the whole post and the deal, I would have to like plug. I bet they make one that works with this. I just bought the wrong kind. So that's the lesson of modification, is that, you know, if you're gonna do a mod, make sure you buy the right category. So there you go. So no roller bridge today. They do make one that works. I've used it before, but as you can see, the posts on this will only fit the kind that come on. I really don't want to. What I could do is go in and like machine them open, or find like this style post for that will fit in there, which all of that is very feasible. The easiest option, if I really wanted to go this route, but I don't have a vise and I wouldn't want to use my tools for doing this, but what you could do is you could take this hole and widen it until it works. So it would be like, drill it out for whatever the diameter of this post is until it works. But that'd be pretty sketchy, and there's no reason to go whole hog on essentially modifying to the point of ruining this bridge for no good reason, when I can just buy the correct one with the correct posts for $15. So there's no, I'll use it eventually on a different guitar, I'm sure. I just didn't look closely enough at the posts that came with it. But had I would have seen these will not work. So we'll just restring it. And I am still curious to see how these tuners perform. And I always feel like I get this wrong. I think it goes like this. But I can check. I think what I'm going to do is check my photos. And I can just go to the stock photos and see. So it goes down. Because what you don't want to do is like throw all the intonation off by putting the new strings on with the flipped bridge, and then it just doesn't work. So that's we're a little disappointed today, but we're not. It's not a total wash. Plus, I'm still only out $10 on the bridge, and I think this has come up before, and I wish I would have remembered, because it would have made my life a lot easier. I think the last time I did this at a shop, we just dug out the correct posts that had the correct end on it and dropped into the hole. SG Olive, there it is. Yeah, Epiphone exclusive SG standard 61 Maestro Vibrolon sounds. And I had it right. So just wanted to check you know, the screws on the Tune-O-Matic can go towards this way or towards this way. I had them going correct, so nothing to worry about there. We're gonna. I will recommend. I really actually like these. So you can get like little spray bottles of stuff and some micro polish rags, or you can get these packets of fretboard conditioner, and like one of these wipes can go a really long ways. Like you can do like a whole guitar collection with one of these, or throw it in a bag and come back like a couple days later and it's still good. I believe these are some kind of lemon oil or something like that. They certainly smell like it. So you have one of these. I can't remember if this has an actual rosewood fretboard or not. I want to say maybe it's laurel. I don't know. But the fit and like the finishing on this fretboard for it being a bound neck is actually pretty good. The frets probably could use a little bit of a polish. I'm not a fret polisher expert. I know there's like a whole technique to it that takes a little bit of doing. Um, I haven't heavily played or abused this guitar, and I did put a different conditioning product on it at one point. It's like based on some different material. It's not a bad. The product I used before is fine, but I really like these. Getting a good coat, but I'm not trying to really soak it in. Because I didn't need it. Like I already kind of conditioned it a little bit before when I did my last string change, which really wasn't that long ago. So fretboard got a nice polish on it. Maybe a little bit of excess on there. Probably make sure that this is actually, yeah. So I'm just gonna go through, clean up the excess. You can leave it in to soak in it if the fretboard really needs it, but it's fine. So we'll restring. Let's try these tuners, and I can check the intonation on this and check my action. I do have an action ruler now, which I didn't have before, which is cool. I am disappointed about my roller bridge. I bet, you know what I bet I have to get that might be even cheaper than all of those options? Is I bet they make a conversion post that converts from the fat screws to the skinny ones. So it's probably about right. I'll have to check the action after I string it up. So we'll definitely come in at under an hour before we're playing again, which is good. Let's see if I can remember all the D'Addario. This is NYXL, like I said, 56 to 11 set. I prefer, like, if I have the money to spare, I prefer the NYXL strings. I know there's, you know, everyone has their preferences. There's nothing wrong with, like, standard Ernie Ball strings. That's what I've used for years and years, you know, depending on what I was doing. But I'm also lazy. And, oh, and yeah, and obviously these are lockers now, so I can just pull it tight and snip off the excess. Oops. So I'll move this a little more. And not bad. Yeah, so the string change will even go really fast. I mean, that really is the benefit of locking tuners. Everyone says different things, but really the only real benefit to a locking tuner is that your string changes are going to go way faster. Because all you really have to do is put it through the post. When it's straight through, tighten it, and then your guitar's in tune. So at least that's the goal anyway. You're probably only a couple. And what I do like about these NYXL strings is that they do tend to, the NYXL strings do tend to break in correctly quickly, and they do hold low tuning really well, which I do like. You know, everyone has their own preferences as far as string gauge feel for tuning. For some people, I have a relatively medium feel. I try to go for essentially the feel of tens at whatever the relative tuning is. maybe closer to like almost an 11 on Gibson, but maybe a little bit light still. You know, I don't want anything too beefy, but I do want, if I really dig in, I'm not going to be fighting intonation so much. But yeah, so we did the locking tuner swap. Those were a success. The bridge was not a success. Um, kind of took an L on that one, not knowing that I had bought one with the wrong style of posts, which I'm sure they make one with the correct style, but I didn't know, and so now I know to look a little closer at those listings. I just saw, you know, the roller bridge that I wanted, but I didn't realize that it didn't come with the correct post that I needed. So important to remember. But I bet you a few bucks that they sell a conversion post set for like $6 on Amazon. So that is still not totally off the table. So all we're really out is the cost of a set of strings and a half an hour of work, and we have a really cool, slightly modified SG that now has locking tuners for 25 bucks. That took the only specialty tool you needed was a decent screwdriver with a small head. So that was pretty useful. Still a big fan of Music Lily. I don't think the roller bridge was Music Lily, but it wouldn't have mattered. It's the all comes out of the same, like, if it's not the factory, it's the one next door kind of a thing. There's a whole manufacturing province in China where a lot of this stuff is made, so wherever it is, it works out fine for me. Oops. Yeah, the feel of these is fine. I've felt a little better tuners. I'm kind of putting a little tension on this so it doesn't just pop out of the slot and bug me. We got purple and silver. So yeah, all in all, worthwhile mod day. I am gonna go look up those posts and see. I need to figure out what they call them and make sure I get the right ones this next time. But I still recommend like those budget roller tailpieces. Stu Mac sells them as well, and I think what it is because I know this came up before, is that they sell the two different kinds of posts, and I didn't know which one to get, and I think I ordered the wrong one, but we had some posts that converted it at the shop. So other than that, still took a win on the day. So all's well there. Oops. Sorry, my phone was giving me the 20% warning. So we've been streaming for about 40 minutes. Check out fuzzimp.com. Probably shoot a new Shroot demo, the original Shroot. Kind of pushing those right now. I'm waiting on a batch of boards for the Shroot 2s. Start pushing those again. Great pedal, all the variations of the Shroot 2. There's a reason why I make it in 4 different colors. A blackout, hyper, original, and blackout, hyper, original, and gold. Because people like the limiteds. And I brought blackout back because people were interested. It's not, it was probably the least popular. I think I sold like 5 or 6. Maybe it was closer to 10, I don't know. So sold a few. Certainly. But yeah. So there we go. Start tuning up. Get our tuner out. Make sure we don't go too sharp. But we're tuning up the SG and putting it in a C tuning. I bet I dropped that bridge too low, but I'm gonna go get my scale to double check. Yeah, these feel really sturdy. Maybe a little bit tight, honestly. But yeah, these feel actually a lot like the stock Epiphone tuner. I would not be surprised a bit if any Epiphone models that had locking tuners, like I think the um, what is it called? I wouldn't be surprised if the stock Epiphone. Sorry, I'm tuning my guitar and looking like an idiot. Um, so yeah, there we go. So that'd be C standard. Forget what the I honestly don't remember what the is it E on C standard. But yeah, these tuners feel really nice. I mean, they have a really almost stiff kind of pull to them. It's E flat. So yeah, that's gonna be, if I play it like that, it's gonna be super light. But I'm gonna go get my gauge ruler and check all these heights because I have a feeling these are way low from when I messed with the when I pulled that stud out to check. I have a feeling these are like super low because they feel like it. But surprisingly, for how low the action is, the tuning really isn't too bad. A couple of these tuners are really stiff. Like, I don't know if there's a way to change that, but maybe you don't want it. Maybe you want it kind of aggressive and stiff. Also, there is the slight thing, so this does have the Maestro on it, so that does affect the tuning stability just slightly. Um, it's not um, like it like depending on what tuning you're in, like if you probably wouldn't, it wouldn't fight you too bad going from standard to drop D or something like that, but you do have to keep it in mind as you're putting all the tension back on the strings is that uh, it does float just slightly. Like, I think it's set up in such a way that it could take like 13s and not pull forward too much, but it does have some slight play when there's not a lot of tension on it. So there's D, there's C. So we've got C, D, C. And I wonder if maybe they were marked like where certain ones were supposed to be in the case. Because it seems like some of them have a lot more tension than others. But it could just all be in my head. So yeah, you know, it's 56 to 11 in C standard. It's going to be a little bit floppy. So we'll pull out my Indiana string gauge and we will see what kind of action we are looking at. Yeah, that's really super low. It's like 60. That's not too bad, honestly. So that is like 80, but that's like 55. So we're gonna come up on the high side a bit. If you don't know what I'm using, haven't used one of these before, I highly recommend you get one and learn how to use it. It's very useful for gauging what your string heights are. You know what? I feel like a dummy. I think I got one of these and I looked at the wrong side. I was like, you sent me the wrong thing. Well, I didn't flip it over where it shows the correct gauging. It was just fine. I was probably kind of a dummy there. Because I thought I got ripped off because it was so cheap. Because I'm used to buying like StewMac tools. But no, it's all correct. So if you missed what's been going on, we swapped my tuners to a locking tuner that drops straight in from Musically. They're really cheap. So that's really good. I could probably even go a little bit higher on the high side. We'll see where we landed exactly. Yeah, we're at like 60. And we're like 80 there. So we're good. 80 to 60 is kind of what I aim for when you're detuning. It kind of works. Yeah, I love this guitar. Let's fire up the rig for a second. I have a minute. We'll plug in some pedals. Probably go throw you on the stand. If you're wanting to hear some tunes or some, it's just going to be basic phone audio, but it's, this guitar still sounds awesome. So we'll go there. The only thing I think I'm going to end up having to replace pretty quick is that switch. They use these vintage style ones that wear out really fast, but that's super common in cheaper guitars. That's kind of one of the areas they skimp out on the most, is some of that hardware. I will say overall though, the fit and finish of yeah, so that feels and sounds. I'm sure I'm going to end up having to want to adjust that intonation a little bit for the C tuning, but not bad. Let's go throw some fuzz on. We'll go set you up over here, and I'll have to tell you what pedals I'm using. I have a few that I use for most of my demos. Oh, actually, let's go like this. Oh, no. Anyway, so I have a few that gosh dang it. Okay, there we go. Get some eye contact. Okay, so I have a few pedals that I use for my demos lately. I do still have a Boss Metalcore I'm trying to sell. It's not a bad pedal, I just want to buy another guitar that I found on local marketplace. So we have neighbors are home, but we can run a little volume. I got my Russian Big Muff. We're gonna run everything at 6. You know what? I'm gonna pull my Russian out of the chain. It's kind of being wonky today. Every once in a while, because the jacks are bad, and I know that. Yeah, you can hear where the jacks were messed up. It's on my list to replace them. So, plenty good here. My metal chord. Yeah, and the C tuning, it sounds good. Yeah, these tuners are sweet. They work good. A couple of them were a little bit stiff as I was tightening them up, but so were the other ones, so it's fine. Good. Well, I was running the Doom software. So yeah, all in all, setting up for C standard, new locking tuners. Basically, all it's really doing at this point is making my string changes a lot faster, and it's a little bit of an upgrade. As you can see, it's pretty clean, nice install. I'm sure I'll post pictures on my socials. We'll have the difference, let people know that those things exist. Yeah, sounds good to me. Cool. Let's play some. Cool. But yeah, that'll do it for tonight. It sucks about the roller bridge being the wrong posts, but I swear that's come up before. Not the end of the world. I can fix that if I really want to down the road. As it is, I just like having the Maestro on there because it balances out the body. My thought was maybe I would use it slightly more if I had the roller bridge. I really don't think that's going to be the case. It's perfectly good as is for what I need it for. It's nothing too crazy, but it does something. It definitely does something for the tone and all that. I also realized that my green Russian has been messing with my signal chain. I knew it had a little bit of load on it because it's not perfectly true bypass, but one of the jacks, the input jack, is jacked up, and I knew this, but I didn't realize that it was actually like screwing up the signal a little bit. So I pulled it off the chain for the time being. I'm gonna have to set it to the side and retire it from the test. I mean, if you've never seen one of these things in person, it's way heavier and way beefier than the NYCs. It's a really cool pedal though. It sounds great. I need to finally replace the jack. I haven't done it yet. It's been on my list. But anyway, I hope you all have a good evening. I think we went a little over an hour. That was kind of my goal for this whole little project. So we'll catch you all later. Thank you for hanging out. We're like, we scored like a C- today on the strings that I had worked for the tuning I had in mind. The locking tuners were a win, which I will accept, and were the bulk of the budget. I think the tuners were 24, and I think the roller bridge was 13. And I still can get it to work if I get the conversion posts, which is not going to be overly difficult. but I just don't have a huge supply of stuff like that sitting around. So I'd have to go poke around online for it. But all that being said, hope you have a good evening. Thanks for hanging out on the YouTube stream.